International buyers seem to be cooling off on the Canadian housing market. Numbers show foreign ownership in Toronto is down 2% in a 3-month period. For more on this and a look at the real estate market across Canada, let's bring in our panel tonight from Toronto, Rick Dhillon with Royal LePage, and in Vancouver, Steve Soretsky with Sutton West Coast. Good evening, gentlemen.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, me too, Sneha.
So, Rick, let's start with you. There's been a drop in foreign home ownership. Why is that?
Well, you know what? Anytime you have a tax that's implemented, there's going to be that temporary effect for a period of time where, hey, look, you know what? People do not want to pay that 15%. But I'm going to take you back a little bit to the land transfer tax that was done in Toronto. A couple years ago, what the city had said was, you know what, a lot of people are buying in Toronto along with the provincial tax. They're going to double it up and do the land transfer tax. And there was a period of time where people kind of halted buying in Toronto. But as time went on, people weren't going to stop buying in Toronto. And then over time, the taxes are the new norm. So people will just start buying again. So to answer your question, yeah, there has been a little bit of a slowdown. But once people get used to the fact that, hey, if you want to live in this great country, that there's going to be taxes, they'll get used to it. And having said that, I think I read somewhere that the government did collect about $130 million. Don't quote me on that, but I think I read that somewhere.
All right, but Rick, you're saying it's short term in terms of the drop. So, Steve, Ontario followed BC's lead in bringing in new rules and taxes on foreign buyers. So what has been the impact in BC? Have the rules really dampened the interest from abroad, or are buyers just going to continue to buy over time or even move to different markets like Montreal?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard to quantify. Obviously, we only have data, really only recent data, so it's hard to really track. Obviously, some of the foreign ownership numbers have come out. I think that the activity, particularly in the detached market, has really slowed down. I think that it was really starting to slow down prior to the tax. But we're seeing mostly foreign, buying activity is in the pre-sale condo market right now. That seems to be where all the focus is. But as for the tax, like I said, the overall market really dropped off for about 4 or 5 months, and then as it sort of digested, things started to sort of balance out. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of where we're at right now.
All right, we'll have to see. And looking forward to 2018, Rick, let's talk about the new mortgage rules coming in January 1st. What do they mean, and who will be impacted the most?
Well, I think the biggest part of the rule is going to be the stress test. Keep in mind, the stress tests for high ratio mortgages are already in effect. So this is going to be affecting conventional mortgages. Basically, if you're putting 20% down or more, just to simplify it, what's going to happen is, yes, you might get a 3 or 3.3% fixed mortgage, whatever have you, but they're going to be qualifying you at 4.99. I think it's a smart move. I think that if we're reading in between the lines, the government's kind of saying that, hey, look, we are going to be raising interest rates, and just preparing the public that if you're going to be looking to buy a house, be prepared to, go up to 4.99% is what they're saying. So they're going to be qualifying them at a higher interest rate.
All right, be ready for the higher rates. And Steve, just want to ask you the final question. How do you see 2018 shaping up? Will it be a buyer's or a seller's market?
I think it's interesting. I mean, the detached market right now is under a lot of pressure. I think that's going to be favoring the buyers at the upper hand in the negotiations there. Like I said, there's some downwards pressure there. I think the condo market, with the inventory being still at historic lows, I think that market will start to cool down. I don't think we're going to see the massive price acceleration that we've seen over the last couple of years, but I do think that market's still going to favor the sellers, at least in the short term anyways.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. I want to thank you both for joining us on this Christmas Eve. Happy holidays to both of you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.